This Planning Commission meeting of April 20th is called to order. This Planning Commission Planning Commission meeting convenes on the ancestral territories of the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe. Rod, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And how about a roll call? Planner Wolfson?
Commissioner Ermshar.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Van Zandt.
Here.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Here.
And Chair Nye.
Here.
All are present.
This is the time for comments from the public for items not on the agenda. So anything that's not on the agenda, comments are welcome, limited to 3 minutes. And at this time, no discussion or action by the committee can take place on those items. So is there any public comment present for items not on the agenda? No. Anyone online?
I do have a couple people with their hands up, though they've had them up the whole time, so I don't know. Let's find out. Hello, you're on with the Planning Commission. You can go ahead and address them.
Hi, this is Scott Porter.
Oh,
I
good.
was
Okay,
just
Scott.
trying to
I wasn't sure that was
I don't know
you.
how to log in some other way.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you on, and then I will. Oh, and the other person put their hand down.
So that public commenter will be put somewhere else.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. He has a hand up now. Brian, you're free to address the commission.
I just wanted to say that we're attending Pam Jansen, Brian Bixler, Tree Safe. We have an agenda item.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. We'll. Actually, you are on the consent item, so they'll have your item up here in a bit.
Okay, just wanted to check to know how it was going, how this works.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so no public comments online, except for the city attorney. So next up is the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar considered to be routine in nature, and all recommended actions of the staff report will be approved by one motion of the commission. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the commission or public requests otherwise, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any item so removed will be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. So any consent agenda items, commissioners want to pull one for further discussion, or shall we?
I move we approve.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the next item number 3, is for 410 Factory Street. This is under architectural review for window replacement.
And I'm sorry, Chair. I did want to request that, and we don't have to move it up totally to the front, but because we only have Scott for possibly not the entire meeting, to move the one item up that may require his assistance, item 9. If you wanted to do it, say after, let me see, after architectural review items.
Sounds fine.
Wait,
There's a lot of them.
that's all of them. Never mind.
It
Yeah.
should maybe just be first, huh?
Did you want to hear that one, move that one up to the front of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that
All right.
seems to make sense.
So, just
So
for.
we're taking item 9 now, 531 Searles Avenue, Formula Business. Big Brand Tires?
And I think some of them are attending via Zoom. Okay, if you're from Big Brand Tires, I see a couple of them. And Michael, I'm not able to promote you to a panelist, but I can make you, I can allow you to talk, but unfortunately, I don't think you can use your video. Oh, wait, maybe you will be able to. You're up there twice now. If you can let me know who else should be attending. Michael, are you able to hear us? You're muted right now. There's a couple other people.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there's
Wow.
quite a bit of feedback.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
That sounds a lot better, yes.
Okay.
Can you tell me who else to pull
I'm
in?
with you now.
Okay. Can you tell me who else to pull into the meeting?
Well, I was supposed to have Paul on here, but I don't see.
Paul
somebody
W.
there, 310 area code. Paul, are you there?
He's here, yes. Pulling him in.
Yeah, there he is.
Okay. And is that it? Was that all?
I expected a Stan Stanley and possibly a Jason Robinson.
Okay, I see Jason. I don't see a Stanley. Okay, I think we have you all on.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and provide a brief introduction, and then the Planning Commission may have some questions for you. This building was originally built in 1960. It is at, let's start with the address, which is 531 Searles Avenue. It's a light industrial designation. It was previously the home of Plaza Tire and Auto Service. A variance to sign standards was granted in 1993 for a freestanding sign that allows a larger sign than is standard and allows the internal illumination, which is currently there. The third sign on the lowest level was never approved, but the applicant has agreed to remove that. The applicant representative, Michael Humbach, has submitted an application to operate a formula business at 531. Big Brand Tires is taking over the building previously occupied by Plaza Tire. They are essentially operating the exact same way in terms of, hours of service and the services they offer. Let's see. I think that's pretty much the only thing that we have to do. There's a few entitlements, and I have you for the CUP. You have to determine the project is categorically exempt, prove conditions of approval, and make specific findings in accordance with the formula business ordinance. And those are that the proposed use is necessary to preserve Nevada's economic vitality. The proposed use will continue and operate to an appropriate balance of business sizes and presents a scale and design in harmony with the historic small-town character. The proposed development is consistent with and will enhance Nevada City's history of independent, unique, and single-location businesses. And the proposed development does not detract from, but complements and enhances the architectural integrity. And that the sign of the proposed use does not include any trademark or logo identifying it as a formula business, though that might not be something we can really regulate. And then, so I've got several conditions of approval also added in here, including that the materials and selections are consistent with the presentation. And then the fire department added a condition that it needs to be consistent with the California Fire Code. but it should operate exactly how Plaza Tire, the previous business has operated in the past. I
And
think
we,
that's what I have.
okay, and we have Michael present.
Michael and Michael, Humbach, Paul, Paul, I don't know your last name, but Jason Robinson are also on the call.
Okay.
And then we also have Scott Porter, our city attorney here.
Okay, any questions from the commission of the applicant or of city staff?
I have a lot of questions, really, but I don't know what is appropriate.
I think we wait, I think we normally wait till we get input, and then we have our deliberation.
Right, at the time I'm asking, for now, I'm asking for questions, clarifying questions, so we can form a better base from which to have a discussion.
Questions for the applicant specifically?
Yep, the applicant or of the city attorney or of city staff.
So I'll just start with something really basic, because I think initially it was not clear to me as I read the agenda. The
That's a cheery sound.
Sounds like frogs.
There's two items essentially that we're looking at. Is that correct? One is permitting the sign, and the other, approving a sign, and the other is approving a conditional use permit.
So
Is that correct?
generally, signs outside the historic district and outside the office professional district would be approved or would be reviewed and processed by staff. The only reason it is before you today is because it includes, there's a finding for the CUP that includes information about this trademark or logo, but I'm getting information that we may not be able to regulate that aspect as well, even though it's in our code.
Okay, and so, given that clarification, it sounds like the first item to look at is this conditional use permit?
Yes, whether or not,
Because really
essentially whether or not to allow a formula business that operates exactly how the prior business.
And then based on that finding, then evaluate signage?
Yes, although the one aspect of signage that it says we can evaluate as part of our finding, we may not really be able to regulate.
Well, who's
With
gonna-
respect to the formula business, did Plaza sell to this business?
I believe they did. That would be a question for Big Brand Tires, I suppose. I believe they have bought the business, though.
So this is the opportunity to ask them questions now?
You can, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'd be interested in an overall, just catching us up to speed on the acquisition, timing, and also kind of generally, I'm interested in their growth strategy, and what their kind of competitive advantages are in coming into the market, what they serve and offer the community.
Michael, would one of you want to respond to that?
I can't.
Yeah. Paul, are you able to respond to that? We're having some feedback issues with Michael's feed. Paul, are you able to hear us?
Is he muted? Do you have him on a screen?
He's not muted.
My guess is he
He's
was
got
on
his hand
speakerphone.
up,
That's a
so-
common thing when you're on speakerphone and you get feedback on a, yeah.
Paul, I see that you're here. You've got your hand raised, but we're asking you to respond. Are you able to talk? You should. You're not muted from my end.
Hey, this is Jason. I just got a message from Paul. He can hear you guys just fine. For some reason, his mic isn't working. Michael, are you able to answer the question from the board?
No. I can't.
Michael, it sounds like you got
Don't
a
have the feedback. I'm not on speakerphone.
If I may, Michael, I have had this issue with my computer in the past, and I had to plug in a set of headphones. I don't know if that would be useful to you.
I don't have any headphones.
We can dial in. Is there a phone number they can dial into as well?
Yes, you can dial in. I'd have to look at the Zoom invitation. The Zoom invitation that I sent you should have a dial in, and I could let you in that way.
We'll be needing to talk to them.
There's no dial on the email, just a Zoom connection.
Hey guys, I'm gonna. I got Paul on the phone here. Let me see if I can put him on speaker and maybe he can communicate with you guys. Does that work?
Yes, yep.
All right, Paul, go for it.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time and apologize for some of these technical issues for sure. I just tried the headphone trick as well, and then unfortunately it hasn't worked. So hopefully everybody can hear me and everyone's having a nice day. In regards to your question about the growth of Big Brand, I'll just give you a quick background on our growth. Is that Big Brand family operated business, operated 20 stores in California, just north of LA, kind of in Simi Valley, headquartered in Moore Park. And in 2001 was acquired by private equity firm Percheron, which is based out of San Francisco. And we went on a rapid growth through the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. Currently, where we stand is we operate 202 locations, 140 of which are in California. And the growth plan is not to continue growth. The goal is to consolidate what we have already in place and get them all, under the Big Brand banner, as well as American Tire Depot. Those are the two companies that we operate out of.
And then the other part,
Just for-
oh, thank you.
Sorry, go for it.
Well, the other part of my question too was just, I have not driven past Plaza Tire, Big Brand Tire, so I was a little bit surprised to learn about kind of the timing of this. Could you illuminate a little further?
About the signing of the acquisition?
Yeah, like when did you guys officially take occupancy and so forth?
We took occupancy. If you don't mind giving me just a minute, I can get you that answer. But we've been operating now for a few months.
At the Searles Avenue location?
Sorry,
You've
you
been-
mind repeating that?
At the Searles,
You've been operating for several months at the Searles Avenue location?
Correct.
Okay.
and as I recall, Plaza Tire had several locations. Did you acquire those as well?
Correct. 4 locations under the Plaza Tire acquisition.
The next closest being in Grass Valley,
East Main.
East Main, okay.
Correct.
Anyone else have a question? Is Big Brand Tires aware that Nevada City prides itself on a mom and pop business sort of appearance? It's kind of a talking point. A lot of people are very proud of that there are no parent chains in Nevada City. And I'm just wondering if you're aware of that sort of predominant aesthetic that's reflected in our ordinances pertaining to signage and trademarking of corporate brands. Are you aware of that?
Honestly, I can't say that I was aware of that, but I don't think we have an issue with it. We obviously want to operate within the city, what the city would allow. That's why we're coming to you for hopefully approval. Obviously, we would like our signage, with our standard brand look and feel with the Big Brand Tire and Service name. So happy to discuss. Wasn't aware. Appreciate you bringing that up, and as much as we possibly can, would be happy to stay within the mom and pop feel. I think you can see from our renderings, we're not looking to change, the overall appearance of the building in any major way. Just want to kind of give it an update and put our signage up.
It's currently one of the less attractive aspects of that area, just because of its very bright lighting and a little bit, dilapidated. So what you're saying about freshening it up is really appreciated. So yeah, I wanted to know if you were aware of the sort of Nevada City feel thing we have going in terms of, and I'm just giving information. When we do business sign review in the historic district, we pay a lot of attention to creativity, certainly, and also that no particular sign commands more attention than its neighbors, to preserve a historic feel, no anchor store feel. So I'm just letting you know that that's what we tend to consider regarding signage here.
That said, this is not in the historic district.
Correct. So I'm just saying informationally, we focus on that in the historic district. Anyway, so I've made that statement for your consideration, and are there any other questions from the commission of the applicant or of staff?
Well, this is Peter Van Zandt. I would agree with what you said. We have, from a city standpoint, we want to feature the neighborness, the neighborhoods. We want to do the buildings. A lot of them are old. This one isn't particularly old, but it fits. And so we tried to get away from the corporate logos or the corporate signatures for more generic names of what the businesses are. I think that's where we have been. That's been our history.
I can appreciate that, and I don't think we're looking to do anything, major compared to what our neighbor has done. You got Napa Auto and Truck Parts next door to us, so I understand they're a larger corporation. We obviously want our branding and our logo, but happy to hear if there's, suggestions or certain things that you guys would require outside of the sign package that I believe is on page 115 of the packet, 115 and 116 of the packet.
That does bring up a question from me for city staff. We have language regarding signs for all of Nevada City that prohibits internally lit signs, and yet one exists at the auto parts store next to the location we're discussing now. And I'm wondering how that came into being.
It was through a variance. That was, what did I write in my 1993? I think I wrote. So.
The Reeby's,
Napa?
the Reeby's store?
Napa.
Oh, sorry, Reeby's, or are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Reeby's Auto Parts because
Oh.
our applicant just referred to it. It has an internally lit sign, which is on, by the way, while they are not not during business hours. And I'm just wondering how that came into being, just for context.
That I don't know. I'd have to research that address and
Now I feel a bit foolish. Is Reeby's Napa?
Napa began
Yes.
as an auto parts, like, what do you call that? Where they are almost like a co-op to get better pricing. That's how it began. And my understanding is that eventually Napa bought up all of its, like, franchise. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure how long, I don't know. I don't know if Reeby's still actually would be an exception, that Reeby's, I mean, that's a private
Reeby's
person.
is
Yeah.
they're local.
Right.
Yeah, they have several branches too.
They do. I guess there's a question of at what point you move from local to,
It's 10 stores, based on the ordinance. 17 is 10. 10.
perhaps if I may, well, I guess, I don't,
Is there, I mean, we haven't quite moved to
Discussion.
but if you have a question,
I have more questions too. And my questions are based off of reading the ordinance that relates to the conditional use permit, which relates to the signage, which is about staffing, and also just the competitive landscape. So the language in our ordinance talks about being an asset to the community, and I can think of those things, but I would like to hear from you. And also what could potentially be, what would you say, kind of a detractor from the community, and I can think of my things as well. But I'd like to hear from you in terms of staffing and jobs, if any change that you expect to see in the number of jobs that you're offering compared to your predecessors, and also how you compete with our mom and pop stores that are surrounding you.
did that question go through for you guys?
Yeah, I think I was waiting for Mike to jump in. I'm not sure if Mike's able to reach out. I'll do my best. I was more here on the signage side. As far as I know, that there's not a change for a staffing model from our predecessor. And one of the reasons that we were interested in acquiring the facility was, how it was previously ran. And the benefit for the current employees or employees that do get brought on is, being part of a larger company, there's, room for upward growth. So, if you do well within this location, there's potential to be promoted to a district manager where you're overseeing this location, but also, some of the other Northern California stores as well.
Thank you. And then relative to competitive strategy, how does that look? How, what would you say is your competitive advantage as an auto and tire service and sales center? How do you take market share?
Yeah, the competitive advantage, we're now the 8th largest auto service provider in the country. So our competitive advantage is our ability to scale and buy and provide competitive pricing, when we go and sell tires, and on our service, as well as to reinvest in the shop with, updated equipment. I think you guys have been to shops over the last handful of years. The auto service industry is rapidly growing in the technology sector, so the ability to invest in the technology to stay relevant, it gets a little bit more difficult as time goes on. So being a larger scale provider, we're able to keep up with those necessary technology advancements and reinvest in the store, in particular with equipment.
So your value proposition to the community is to provide lower pricing with better technology? Is that, am I paraphrasing?
Competitive pricing with the latest technology.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Commissioner Cobden, any?
I have thoughts, not questions.
Okay. So I guess I have at this point a question for Scott, our city attorney, because I see a contradiction between our findings, our required findings, and the proposal that we're looking at. So, but I have positive things to say certainly about the application, and some of the findings are easy, but so is our city attorney available? I find that the proposed development, especially with, very widely recognized corporate branding, is not consistent with and will not enhance Nevada City's history of independent, unique, and single-location businesses, thus contributing to the uniqueness of the town. And the nature of the business itself, I think, seems fine, but all the branding contradicts that finding. So I find it difficult to consider it as meeting the requirements of finding 3. So I wonder if our city attorney has a comment he'd like to make at this point that would allow us to disregard this, finding 3.
So I did submit a memorandum to you. It's a confidential memorandum. I don't really want to talk too much publicly about that.
Okay.
If the commission has offline questions, I'd be happy to deal with those offline. But generally, if you can make the findings, then you should approve it. And if you can't, then you should deny it. But my recommendation would be based on the record before you that you consider whether the conditions that you have are appropriate. And if they are, then you would approve the proposed project.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm the only
No, I am
commission
not.
member who has.
I can't even get to the sign part because I'm having a hard time validating the conditional use permit personally, based on the formula business requirements and ordinance 17 that was supported by the people, I think in 2012, something like that. So yeah, I'm stuck.
I think the last comment you made confused Amy Wilson and me as well.
Well, I'm looking at ordinance 17, which
17.
is about formula businesses.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Formula business
Okay.
restrictions and regulations. And in reading through that, there's a set of kind of criteria that it's there's some gray area, which is always the hard part, which talks about the circumstances. It says formula businesses prohibited and restricted. It talks about the circumstances and the types of businesses that can achieve a conditional use permit, which is an exception to the ordinance, which restricts formula businesses that are 10 plus. And so automobile service or fueling stations and garages, tire repair shops do make that list. And certainly, Plaza Tire was there before. It's not an issue of whether that type of business can be there. It's rather the size of the operation and the nature of it. And so required findings for the approval of these use permits in order to allow the applicant to use their formula business, that site for a formula business, I get stuck on those. So talking about economic vitality, contributing to the scale, design, and harmony with the historic small-town character of Nevada City, enhance Nevada's history of independent, unique, and single-location businesses, thus contributing to the uniqueness of the town. These are our criteria of findings that need to be made in order to approve the use permit. That the proposed development does not detract from, but complements and enhances the architectural integrity and eclectic combination of styles in Nevada City. So that's an architectural piece. But when I go back to economic vitality, this is not clear for me because I certainly love having a business in that location. I think it's good for us. My concern becomes about the impact to the mom and pop stores that are established in close proximity, and I don't know how that balances out for sure.
Well, how would we even go about figuring out how it balances out? Like, there are so many different scales that we could ask that question on. Are you talking about how it's going to impact SPD or how it's going to impact the other tire stores in town? And to that end, do any of us know how many Ma and Pa owned tire stores we have in town?
It seems to me that we've moved to discussion
Yeah.
from a question and answer period. So if there are no more.
Forgive me.
No, it's fine, it's fine. If I'm just, if there aren't any more questions for clarification's sake, let's begin a discussion.
Right.
Where does public comment fit in?
Let's have some public comment at this time.
That was the question.
Yes, I'm sorry, the applicant speaking?
Yes, we want to let the applicant and the public comment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ask for public comment.
Actually, would the applicant at this point like to say a general, brief presentation to us before we go to public comment and before we go to commission discussion?
No, I think the only thing I'd like to say is hopefully you guys are able to see that the proposal that we submitted, essentially replacing the Plaza Tire and Auto Service with our Big Brand Tire and Service, signage and logo. We're actually where our logo is a little bit more narrow than even Plaza Tire and Auto Service's previous sign was. Hopefully you see that as a benefit. I don't think it sticks out in a negative way by any means. I understand and respect the small town feel that you'd like to keep. But our intention is to kind of spruce up the building, to our standards as well, which we believe would make the building and ultimately the signage be a positive impact with the community in a place where your residents, feel comfortable bringing their cars to be serviced.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Is there any public comments, anyone present, about this application? No one standing up. Anyone online?
If anyone wants to address the planning commission on this item, please raise your virtual hand. Not seeing anyone.
Okay, thanks. So let us have some commission discussion. Peter, did you want to
Yeah.
begin?
Yes, I will. First of all, I don't have any problem with Plaza Tire becoming Big Brand Tire in terms of the business. It seems like that's the type of business that belongs in Seven Hills, not downtown, that sort of thing. I think the issue is the Big Brand sign, which is a corporate, which feeds into the information that Wendy was asking about. It feeds into, it's a corporate. Now, before I was really involved in planning in Nevada City, there was always discussions about the downtown area, the historic district, and McDonald's was always used as the example. That McDonald's would be welcome downtown, is what I understood, if they went into a historic building and they didn't have the arches and they didn't have all of the advertising. We're not restricting hamburgers, we're restricting that corporate look, which is really counter to our town. And so the Big Brand model or sign has some of those aspects. I mean, it's obviously not as egregious as Hamburger
Golden
Drive-In,
arches.
Golden
Yeah.
Arches. Yeah. But I think that's the issue. Would it fit better not as a business, but as, from an architectural point of view, if the sign was more compatible with our basic requirements. That's,
If I may jump on that,
sure.
that was along my thinking as well, that I am happy to see that that kind of business is going to remain there. I think that if there were a tire store next door, or if you moved into Reeves and competed with Plaza next door, I would have a problem with that, but that's not the case. It sounds like you are very interested in cooperating with us and our desire to keep town the way that has been worked so hard towards. I wonder if you would consider something with respect to your sign, and I hope, please someone jump in if I am moving out of my lane here, but would you be willing to do something along the lines of a hand-painted sign?
Using their logo.
Yeah,
Yeah, same logo, same sign, but hand-painted.
would it, yeah, so the hand-painted sign, would rather stay away from the hand-painted sign. We don't have any in our existing portfolio. I would say that's something I would be happy to bring in for discussion internally would be, is using the same type of letters that Plaza Tire had. So it's called an STO. It's basically a flat letter. We do have that at several of our facilities. Ideally, we'd like it lit to kind of match the look on that street now with what Napa and / Rigby's has. But if it's a sticking point with you guys at the city, and it would help move the process along for approval, we could always look at that option.
I'll jump in on that. I'll let you know, in case you don't know, that internally lit signs by our sign ordinances are not allowed in Nevada City. And by a variance of the nature of which I don't quite understand, the Plaza Tire location got an internally lit sign. And if you are aware of what the Nevada City look is, all of our signs are painted on MDO, and then they are lit from outside. It's the language that we use in the ordinance is indirectly lit, so not lit from inside, but lit by spotlights, and it does lend a much warmer, homier feel. And I'm not sure by what fluke, that may be an unfair characterization, but by what process the Reeby store also got an internally lit sign. To consider changing your sign format, there's power on the sign already, changing your sign format to a painted sign, spotlit, would really warm up the feel of the location and that section of Searles Avenue, and be more contributive to the city aesthetic, getting us closer to condition 3. So just for you to consider all that. And I don't know what the harm would be of being a more contributing business than Reeby's next door. What's the harm in being more contributive? And from my perspective, it would be good for Nevada City, and has been for years, for there to be a tire and auto service business in that location. Like that we do have real things, real services in Nevada City. That's my bit for now. So any other commission discussion on that?
Well, we had an offer to use the same font as the Plaza Tire sign that is there now. That would be acceptable. And
Is that the case?
I thought that's what I heard.
He just offered that, yes.
Yes.
He did offer that.
Yeah.
He countered my hand-painted sign.
Yes. And would that be the same, be white also? And get away from,
ideally, we would still be able to use the combination of the black, the red, and the white.
Well, now we're into negotiation, I think. One comment is we are a small community. We know where almost everything is and where it is. So we tend to go to stores that have good service and good products, and we don't need signs to find them in this small community. So
It's true, most of us don't even know road names.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So everybody knows that that's a tire service area, and if you continue on that, thank you, that's the right thing to do. I don't think there's going to be a loss of sales because the sign is white as opposed to your red in this setting. That'd be my assessment. If it was facing on the freeway and you wanted to attract people off of 49 with a big red sign, I think that's a different situation. We will all know where you are. In fact, we'll probably be customers. So,
Mr. Brown, you haven't said anything. Would you like to
I would like to say
jump
something.
in?
Thank you. I do second the thanks. I agree that continuing the business in the community is a good thing. It is the only dedicated tire store within the community, and having that site be empty, would be a loss to our city. So I see no problem whatsoever. Quite to the contrary, I think it's good that this will continue. I do see some inconsistencies that probably should be addressed at some point within our formula business ordinance. The fact that we're talking about, what is it? I'm looking at the wording here, independent, unique, and single location businesses, saying that it should be that. In a whole thing, it's about businesses that are exactly the opposite of that. Doesn't make any sense. So
Can you say that last part again?
the fact that if I look at the 1770-40 C3, we're looking that the
Yeah.
development is consistent. We will enhance the history of independent, unique, and single location businesses, which is the exact contradiction of everything. So there's an inconsistency with the ordinance. So I think that's a problem that should be addressed at some point in the future, but should not hold up this application.
I'm sorry, I just want to jump in, and that's a problem today in terms of
It
our,
is.
in terms of the
It
findings
is.
we need to make to
Exactly.
do an
exactly.
approval here.
Right. So,
That's where I'm stuck.
so I think that,
Lawrence and I have jumped on this Zoom
can you mute that, Amy?
for Arena.
Unless they're speaking to us.
I don't
No.
think they were.
I think that he was.
I think they took a call. Thank you. Anyway, so for us to approve it today, I think given the internal inconsistency with the ordinance, we need to work through that, acknowledge that there's an inconsistency, and, I'm inclined to, approve this pending the rest of this discussion, and noting that there is an inconsistency that we pass on to staff and ultimately to council to make that adjustment to the ordinance. Next, with regards to the benefits that the applicant has proposed, I appreciate the fact that they're proposing to spruce up the property. Appreciate things in terms of improving the lighting, and the general condition of the building. That's all greatly appreciated, and I think that will add to the community as well. As you do that, I hope you will take a look at the current ordinances regarding lighting and such, and incorporate that into the changes that you make.
Are you speaking of exterior lighting?
Exterior lighting, thank you, yes. With regard to the sign, my understanding based on the discussion from staff and as was presented in our packet, the current sign was approved under variance and that variance still holds. I think that it's within their right to make the change that they proposed and to continue that. That's not my preference, but it's within their right, so I'm not going to, hold up my judgment based on that. I do agree with the request, if they are so inclined, to do a externally lighted sign. and to make the changes that have been discussed here. I think, as the other commissioners have discussed, that would be an increased enhancement to the community. But again, giving everything else, I don't think that's the basis for holding this up at this point. I think that's my comments.
Well stated.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion before I jump back in again as I do?
Just for my education, we're receiving this months after what would have been ideal, and so I don't know where the responsibility resides for that in, say, a future transaction. Can you explain that to me?
You mean in terms of?
Well, it
taking
sounds like
these-
the purchaser of the business, right? They didn't understand all, like, the kind of, the ordinances and such, and really kind of the business community that they were purchasing into. And you don't know what you don't know. So who's responsible for communicating that, researching it, what have you? Is it usually incumbent upon the buyer, the seller?
To come, you mean because they purchased it and started operating? Yeah, I mean, when they reached out to me, I let them know that there was a CUP process. I wasn't aware that they had already purchased and started operating, so. But I probably was about 2 months ago. It takes that long for really a CUP to be, routed out to staff and go through the whole process and it be noticed and that kind of thing. So they probably reached out to me pretty soon after they purchased. So.
And technically, would it be like a seller's disclosure?
If, it's not probably on the title that we have this restriction in our ordinance, so probably not a seller's disclosure.
But on the other hand, I think it's anyone who buys a home in historic downtown, if you buy the house, you're subject to the rules. It's the same thing if you're a business. It's your responsibility as a buyer to be looking into the rules that you're buying into. That said, we have rules that people often don't know about and
Right.
they find out about, much to their chagrin, at the point that they're trying to make changes and it becomes a whole thing. So I think we've discussed this before. The idea of streamlining the process and making it making communication between city and buyer. I don't know, like simplified or more correct. I know when I bought my house, I had no idea the extent to which I was subject to city governance. Anyway, I wonder if, for the sake of everyone involved in this meeting today, we can try and move forward. I want to go back to what Rod said, because I think that you made some really excellent points. We are uncovering some contradictions that we definitely need to address, but we can't let it trip everything else up in the meanwhile. We have an offer from the business to compromise in a way that already works with the present situation, and I think that we should follow that avenue. Unless anyone objects.
So I would just like clarification on what you suggested and what the applicant agreed upon.
I suggested a hand-painted sign, and to clarify a little bit further, what I think would be beautiful, and this is just me, is having, a wooden sign with carving or whatever. I mean, even with the big brand logo, I think that would be totally acceptable if it were on wood with beveling and painting. I think that would be in the spirit of the Nevada City style of things, but if that's not what they feel best suits their business, and they feel that doing it in the flat white font that is currently at Plaza works for them, great. That's what's already there.
So just to be clear, I think everything in terms of the sign at this point were suggestions. We're not talking about conditions of approval at this point.
We're negotiating.
We are negotiating, yeah. I'm expressing my support for that and desire to move it forward.
So one way to do this might be to have a list of conditions and then ask the applicant if the applicant found those conditions to be acceptable, and if so, then you could vote.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, the heat is very intense right now.
It was very cold when I walked in.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if we can start unpacking this. They already agreed that they use the same font. So I'm okay with the font they're recommending. I think if it was all white, it would be looking less corporate and more Nevada City, and the name would be there, their name would be there, and that sort of thing. But but it would look less like a formula corporate sign. It would look a little bit more like is already there.
May I offer,
And again, I'm just throwing this out as a.
So you're suggesting we ask the applicant to work with us and adopt a painted sign lit from outside to,
no, I'm just saying that that's what I thought would look great, and they already turned that down. I think, yes, they did. They said they would prefer to avoid a painted sign. Oh.
This is the applicant. Would it be all right if I jump in and?
Please.
yes.
Yeah, so I think hopefully you would find this acceptable and again, I'll need to get internal approval before we resubmit our sign package, but what I'd be willing to push for is the same font that we've already submitted. I'd like to maintain our font, but go with the all white letter. So the big brand would go from red to white. And then we would do the same style of letter that the previous tenant had, which is internally illuminated channel letters. So we'll compromise on that front. And then hopefully you guys find that agreeable.
I'd like to ask a clarifying question. So you still would like to maintain an internally lit acrylic sign in the current style?
No, I'm saying we would utilize a similar style that the former tenant had. So if you look at what's on the screen right now, if you keep scrolling up slightly,
Yes,
you should
please.
see what the previous tenant had, which was non-illuminated. So it'd be a similar style letter, just the big brand Tire and Service would be all white in the same font and style that we have it shown.
Would you be willing to bring the size of the font for Big Brand to the same as Tire and Service?
I would really hope that we could keep it the way it is. That's just our standard look. We have that across the entire portfolio. Our Tire and Service is actually, it's interchangeable. It goes below Big Brand sometimes. But this one, just with the nature of the building being more linear, we put it on the side so it was more legible.
So are we on the color, all white? You'd be okay with the big brand being in white?
Yes.
Works for me.
And the sign that I was paying attention to in my questioning is the sign that is in front of the store, the one that Amy has up now. That would to fit in with the Nevada City aesthetic better. It would be a flat painted sign that's lit externally by spotlights rather than an internally lit acrylic sign.
Maybe we should just close on the other one though too, because I think it's a good point. I had sort of conflated the two as well.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't sure what sign we were talking about. Were you discussing the one that's on the wall?
Correct.
Of the wall of the business?
I was moving fluidly between both.
Okay, good, all right, all right.
I think it's good to separate
Yes,
them.
okay.
My suggestion of the painted wooden beveled sign would be for the the road side.
But I think we have a proposal right now for the one on the
Yes,
building.
let's
and
stick
it's-
to the one on the building.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And thanks for bearing with us and working with us, like.
Yeah, we
that-
make sure we're all on the same
So
page here too.
we're going piece by piece, and I think we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
and,
That sounds good.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
and the one bullet that I don't have on the building sign would be the external lighting. It doesn't show it, but I assume you'd be interested in that?
Yeah, with the new proposal, it wouldn't have the external lighting. It would be in the same fashion as the former sign was.
Okay.
Are you referring to, Peter, more like lighting the parking lot, lighting, you're not talking about a lighted sign, or are you talking about the?
No, I was offering that a lot of our painted signs have external light
Gotcha,
on them.
okay.
So that people can read them and, that sort of thing.
And
But-
I'll just throw in informationally, I'm pretty sure that the signage on the building is not lit, neither internally nor externally.
Okay.
It's legible because of parking lot lighting.
Okay, but are we all together? Paul, who am I speaking to? Mr. Applicant.
My name's Paul Encloiac.
Paul, okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, Paul, did you get all, are you with us on the non-internally lit, non-externally lit sign on the building?
On the building, yeah, I think we're all on the same. It sounds like what I proposed is the same as what you're saying.
Right,
It is, good.
yes.
All right.
Then we got a street sign.
And then moving on to the street sign, you guys are amenable to pushing for a painted flat sign that's lit externally, correct?
No, never agreed to the wooden or painted sign. Would really hope, that you guys will be able to approve what we proposed. We did take we got feedback that third panel, that was a former Firestone, was apparently not put up per code. So we would remove that at our cost, freshen up the structure, which is the black portion of the pylon sign there, and then just swap out the existing panels, which are already the same color scheme pretty much, just the blue background and the white background, one on each panel, which would give us our true branding with our color, which hopefully with the building being white, you guys would be amenable to let us keep that.
I'm wondering if you could become interested in integrating aesthetically with the community look, an externally lit sign with spotlights that are warm and friendly looking would fit into the city aesthetic, which would be a nice gesture, especially since we don't allow internally lit signs in our sign ordinance. And as they phase out, there'll be fewer and fewer of them, the ones that have made it through somehow the process. The sign would be as visible as an internally lit sign, and it would just, it would look warmer and more classic.
Is this sign though grandfathered in? We're not changing the sign or really anything. It's just the panels. It's an acrylic plastic that gets swapped out.
It is, by my understanding, grandfathered in. There's a variance that was granted, I think posthumously, to its installation for the previous owner. So it's not something that we're in love with from an aesthetic standpoint. This is my take on it.
I think we should also point out, we're not trying to corner you into doing anything that hurts your business, but we are hoping that as a new business in town and newcomers to town, that you would be up to meeting us midway on this.
And I'll underline that by sort of restating the difficulty I'm having with the finding C, that the proposed development is consistent with and will enhance Nevada City's history of independent, unique, and single-location businesses. So aesthetically, an internally lit sign, aesthetically, especially an internally lit sign with a recognizable corporate logo does not give a lot of ground to condition C. If you understand what I'm saying, Paul.
No, I understand you guys want something that you feel like is more in tune with where you are bringing the town. I know I did some research, and I don't see any sign that's similar to this in a fashion that's a pylon sign or a monument or a pylon sign. So if you have an example, I'd be happy to review, but it also comes into a question of budget. So, when during the acquisition, we go through and we actually, we have our sign budget based off of what's there. And usually just a monument sign or a pylon sign is a simple swap out of the face. So to redo a whole monument sign is actually quite expensive. That if I'm just being upfront, it's not in our budget.
Would you be saving money on the not internally illuminated sign on the building?
I think that one's already up.
Not as much as you would think, no. Because you're still using the materials, and it's the routing cost and the install cost.
What I'm thinking of are all the businesses directly uphill from you, like Soap comes to mind. That's a sign that I'm thinking of. SPD also has a very large, recognizable, hand-painted sign. What are some others? Jernigan's does not have.
Yeah, theirs is a
hand-painted,
lit,
but theirs is.
they have like down lighting spacing it, I think.
Yeah, all of these are signs that are your immediate neighbors, to which a sign that's not just a printed drop-in would blend much better with. And again, we're not, it's our job to try and keep things cohesive and consistent. We're not trying to corner you into anything, but we are trying to communicate the community.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction because I've heard a lot of emphasis on aesthetics. And, Peter made a great point early on about the spirit of this uniqueness of individual businesses and so on and so forth. And I would add that it's not just about the way they look, it's also about the way they function together, that we support small business owners, that they can, open their own shop and succeed, and then creating a community where we all adhere to similar guidelines and rules because we believe in it, So that's part of what it means to be part of the business community here.
And something as a new neighbor, essentially, in Nevada City, you should know that in a recent series of strategic planning meetings, the city prioritized revitalizing and bringing a new life and community feel to the Seven Hills district where your store is located. So I have in mind, I'm sure we all do, looking ahead to a more lively, vibrant community set of activities, businesses in the Seven Hills district where this store is located. So that's a bit of information for you to consider. And also, just from a practical standpoint, the monument sign that's the language you use. The standard could be reused and have a sign hung and suspended from that, a wooden sign. Just kind of that's an answer to the expense question. I don't think it would necessarily require replacement of the whole mounting context for the sign, to consider what we're strongly suggesting.
Or, Paul, we'll get there, trust us. Okay, looking at the freestanding sign, we're going to have the big brand tire and service sign on the building in white on, I assume if you paint it blue or whatever, I don't know what you're going to repaint it. What if we brought that same idea to the street sign where you would have, that sign would be basically blue, reflecting the building color, and that your big brand tire and service would be white, which would be also compatible with what we've already agreed to on the building. So there'd be compatibility there. You'd have the sign on the street. You'd have your even leave, I would be okay if you wanted to leave the big brand logo in white on a blue background. And then the option is if you want to light it externally or not, that would be up to you. That could be a business decision. I mean, it is a small community.
And just to clarify, Peter, you're talking about an internally lit sign, an internally lit acrylic sign or a painted sign?
No, a
as
painted
we're
sign.
suggesting?
How would it be internally lit and
That would be
painted?
externally lit.
No, I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I think Peter meant externally lit,
Ah, okay,
whether or not it's lit.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't go external. So anyway, there would be consistency with the colors. There'd be the two signs. I think that would be more than efficient to let people know that you're there and what you're doing, especially since you're camping on the only tire store in town as it is, except for the gas stations, I suppose, have tires. So anyway, Paul, I don't know if you're interested in that approach, a whole blue sign with big brand tire and service in white. External lighting optional.
Also, for your information, there are some like national realty companies that are represented in Nevada City, and they have to blend in and become good neighbors and part of the Nevada City vibe, if you will, aesthetically, have altered their branding, their signage to meet the goal that we're talking about here. That you must hear pretty clearly of what we're aiming for and hoping for. So your big brand wouldn't be the first to be asked to make their statement a bit more gentle.
More Nevada City.
Yes.
Well, Paul, what about a painted sign with free flat
Yeah,
repair?
I'm sorry, we've never done a painted sign. So I'd like to try to work within the confines of what's already there.
Which is very much not in keeping with the Nevada City aesthetic.
Maybe, I wonder if Paul's concern is that he's thinking that we're asking him to make an entirely new pylon setup, which is not what I'm thinking.
Is that what Paul's thinking?
Are you thinking about taking the inserts out and then you want us to hang a painted sign inside?
Yes, that was,
Yeah. Yep, or bolt one onto the pylons. Pylons stay.
Yeah, I'd actually think that what's there would probably look a little bit better than mixing the metal with a essentially like a plaque of wood with that big brand painted on.
I'd have a similar concern.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know I only have so much leeway about what I can agree to, and that's unfortunately past
Well, the least expensive
I'm allowed to go.
maybe the least expensive is to just take the pylon sign down.
Well, I think
Because
it does make sense to have it there.
the
Like,
building is a big billboard. Then there's no expense to change it out or even illuminate it.
That's their choice if they,
That's what?
that's their choice if they so decide, right? They have a variance for a sign in hand.
Rod is absolutely correct.
Right.
It's, yeah.
So I think we've made our suggestions at this point. We've given them, we would hope that they would consider them. At this point, I'm ready to make a motion.
I'm very interested in hearing.
I know what the motion is.
I would move that we approve I should check the exact wording in the conditional use permit as presented here in the recommendation with the request that the applicant consider the changes to the sign, including external painting and, I'm sorry. Well, thank you. Good point. Let me back up. So we have the sign on the building. Let's talk about that one first. I think we had their agreement that they would change the lettering to white, but using their logo as it is. So it'd be
Non-illuminated.
non-illuminated, white, non-illuminated, period, I think is what I heard. And it's white with the font and such as it is now. That is, and I hope the applicant would jump in if they if they did not agree to that, but that's what I heard you agree to.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Also what I heard.
Okay,
And so that's the sign on the building. The pylon sign, again, they do have the variance in hand. So again, they may proceed with that. We would ask that they would consider the changes that are made here for a painted sign with external illumination. However, that is not a condition of approval. That is my motion.
I will second.
Okay, Commissioner Ermshar,
Nay.
Commissioner Cobden,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Zant,
no,
and Chair Nye.
pressure's on, Tom.
I'm inclined to say no, so I'll say no. Nay. It's a good motion.
That's fine. Is there another motion?
Should we break it up, though? We agree on the sign on the building.
All right, motion to approve
The sign on the
the sign on
building.
the building as described by Commissioner Brown.
Second. You got it.
Sorry, guys, you're gonna bear with me
Roll
here.
call?
Sorry, you made a new motion for just the first part of Mr. Brown's, and that was made by Cobden, right?
Yes.
Cobden, and seconded by
Van Zandt.
Van Zandt. Okay. Commissioner Ermshar,
Why do I have to be first?
because I'm looking directly at you.
Yes.
Commissioner Cobden,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Zant,
Yes.
and Chair Nye.
Yes.
All right.
Now, Paul, I'm sure you're still there. And you know where we're leaning. You know where we're leaning, trying to reflect Nevada City values and Nevada City, and support Nevada City businesses, and I'm really happy you're there. Do you have a suggestion for that sign that would be more in keeping with what you've heard, as opposed to what's there now?
In regards to the pylon sign, I do not have a suggestion off the top of my head that would kind of bridge the gap between what the city would like and and what we're able to agree to at this time.
Well, I gave it a try. Thank you.
I'm curious for you to speak to from your point of view, the hardship of making the sign change. I think I heard there was a financial concern. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact, consistency for our brand, it's a big deal for us to not move forward with our colors. And this would be one of less than a handful, I believe, of stores without illuminated signs. So, trying to compromise where we possibly can, but, for the pylon, that would be it's a much smaller sign. It's already in place. So replacing the panels and painting the black structure, I think would actually give it a much better look than what is currently there. So in my mind, we're actually still improving the look and the feel of that facility versus what's currently there.
I definitely understand, based in my experience on this committee, that certainly there is taste or what we think looks great is really subjective to the individual. And I definitely hear that we are aligned in what we're advocating for, whereas you're advocating for your brand, we are advocating for our brand of Nevada City and a small town aesthetic, which does not include illuminated signs.
Or
national logos.
or strong, easily recognized branding statement.
And
or
this
logo.
contributes to the vitality of our economy as a tourism place. It also contributes to the sense of community and home that our residents have sought out and invested in their real estate and making their lives. And so it also has, a significant impact, so.
Can someone remind me what happened with Bank of America when they were in downtown Nevada City? Did they not also have I seem to recall a wooden sign? They did.
I
I think
think
that was,
they did revise their sign when they came in, but.
Yes.
And it was I think it was all white and not lighted.
that's the example that's in the sign ordinance, but which is not applicable to light industrial zoning.
Right.
And this one did get a variance for this particular sign.
That's right.
Correct.
There are, as Commissioner Brown noted, some inconsistencies with our code, potentially some case law since adoption of our code. So this is actually the first formula business that we've brought forward since the adoption of that code. So,
Gotcha.
And that was now like 5 years ago.
I guess one of the other questions I have is, and it might just be rhetorical, but I'm imagining if we weren't in this unique situation where there was a previous variance granted, would this store and location still be appealing to purchase and acquire for your portfolio? And I think the answer is yes, but maybe I'm wrong. And so, again, I go back to the opportunity to ingratiate yourself to a unique community and a community identity, whereas you've already actually been operating without an approved use permit. It just, I think it's a good compromise. Obviously, I don't have the authority to require you to do that, but at strong urging, as a member of this community, both as a resident and a fellow business person, it seems like a great way to ingratiate yourself to the community.
So I've just heard you say that we're not going to require them to do it, and
we can't.
I agree.
Because they have the
So
right.
so is there a motion for that to proceed without requiring them? That's what I was trying to do with my motion,
Yeah.
was to put that forward without that requirement. So if there's not another motion, I think we need to move forward here with it.
So, I
Well,
would like
we-
to make a motion. Were you going to say something?
Well, we already have a motion approving the sign on the
Building.
building
Correct.
and the CUP, if I'm understanding right.
Correct.
Correct, yeah. And then we might want to just, add for the record that we understand that there are some inconsistencies with code and
Sorry, I wasn't clear.
existing
Did we
law.
have a motion to approve the CUP? I
No.
think?
No, we
Yeah.
did not.
We haven't done that.
We just
Oh.
did the sign on the building.
I thought that was part of your initial motion.
Well, my initial motion was shot down.
I know, but I thought they took the first part of your motion.
Okay.
Sorry,
I thought we did too.
just the
You
sign.
did take the first part of the motion, which I did not understand to include the CUP.
Me too.
Yeah.
Ditto.
It only had to do with signage.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just so that you know, the action on the table, though, is for the CUP. The only reason the sign is before you is because one of the findings. So the action is the CUP, not the signage.
That's where I'm getting
which
hung up, is that we're talking
typically,
about the sign.
in the light industrial designation, is a staff-level review process. So
Okay.
the only reason the signage is before you is because we have a formula business.
Okay, so we still haven't, so we have a say in it.
Yes, although, according to our ordinance, you do. But there has been some case law, as you guys are now aware, that may make that hard for us to enforce.
I think that we need to set this one up.
What do you mean?
What's that?
I mean, I think that we need to, we clearly have, what? I think we have objections to the sign. We're not
We do,
crazy
and we-
about it, and that's too bad.
And we don't,
We
we
need to
don't, we
revisit our
can't compel them
rules
to do
and-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to revisit the rules, and we can put for the record, we are not, we would do things differently were the rules set in place to do so.
So a motion
But-
going forward,
Well, let me camp on that, though.
Okay.
You know, to the extent we walk away from it, that sign, the second sign, street sign, that means we could have blinking lights, we could have neon, we could have all sorts of things, so.
No.
I don't-
we-
No, that's not true.
I don't think
That was
that's-
not part of the variance approval.
No, that wasn't part of the variance.
Okay.
The variance was only for the sign that you see there, in the top two panels of
Yeah.
that internally illuminated
Okay.
sign.
And only during business hours.
And
So
only-
that's an
Okay.
enforceable part
So
of that
if we
variance.
don't, okay,
And-
thank you. So if we don't deal with this sign, but what's before us is what will happen, right?
What's before us is what, that sign will
what's
look
being
like
Sign,
that.
presented,
yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. On the right there.
Correct.
Okay. So if we don't change it, we're accepting that one, as opposed to something worse, right?
Oh. If we don't change what? I'm sorry, I'm not fully tracking.
No, if we accept this sign the way, if we agree to that sign, at least we're locking in what we see. If we don't, if we just let it float without an approval, then that could be changed at their
So-
will.
But what could be worse?
And that's built into our approval. The-
Yeah, I think what I'm envisioning, and maybe Rod can jump in on this too, is a motion to approve the sign as presented with the understanding that the variance was grandfathered in and otherwise would not be approved without.
The only thing I would add is the conditional use permit at the beginning of that, right? Because that's the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you go.
I'd let Tom go.
And before
Yeah.
we proceed, I'd like to let the applicant know that currently the exterior security lighting, if you want to call it that, is not, it does not comply with Nevada City lighting standards. There's language that requires such lighting to be directed downward and not outward, which the current lighting, very bright LED lighting does. It illuminates everybody who drives by, it illuminates the businesses across the street and the entire street. So they're currently non-compliant. So to tag onto something that Commissioner Brown said earlier, since they're currently not compliant, a strong suggestion to remedy the situation, have them downward facing as our lighting standards dictate. Also, just when I drove by before dawn this morning, there was an open sign, a blinking open sign when the business was closed. That's also something that we feel rather strongly about. So just to.
Which is also enforceable, if I'm not.
Right, it is, and I'm just like pointing that out.
I think that's a good point. And none of the things that Tom mentioned are not covered under the variance, correct?
Right, yes, no.
Okay.
And the variance language, I read somewhere, is that it passes with the real property, not the business.
Right,
And so
yes.
in perpetuity, somebody can have that sign there.
I will say typically a sign is not authorized under a variance. I don't know what the reasoning was for it, but if you think about, like, typically it's for a setback, like someone has some situation that necessitates them to go to build a building into the setback. You would never ask them to remove that. Chances are the circumstances that necessitated, that were the basis for the findings of that variance are still in place. So you would never ask someone to remove a building that was granted is part of a variance. If the building was to be removed and then stayed that way for a long period of time, then yeah, rebuilding might necessitate a new variance.
But there's a sign variance, though, is that correct?
In this case, there was a sign variance. I would think it would be very difficult to make the findings for a sign variance, but for whatever reason, the Planning Commission in 1993, is that what they said, did make those findings.
And just to, because you started talking about buildings, I'm sorry, I was really just talking about the sign, because that's the variance. So that passes with the real property.
Yes.
There's no new property owner, though. It's the same property owner, so that's why, so that doesn't even matter. So whether the business changes, if the current owners of the property sell the property, then it transfers to new owners of the property?
Correct, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, it's just forever.
Yeah, sorry, I was only talking about.
No, that's okay.
Our typical
Yeah.
reasons for variance.
Yeah.
Which don't typically include signs, but it did for whatever reason in
Gotcha.
1993.
So noting the concerns of the commission regarding aesthetics and fitting into the feel of Nevada City, we would encourage you to consider making the sign in front be more consistent, though we can't require you to. Commissioner Brown would like to make a motion.
Well, I think Commissioner
Commissioner
Condon
Condon
was
would like to
making,
make a
in the
motion.
middle of a motion.
Oh, no, please, I'm not married to it.
No, I think you were there. Just add on that you didn't say the words conditional use permit, which is the whole point of this.
Motion to approve a conditional use permit given,
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can I ask one more question? Remind me why we aren't touching the logo, though. I don't remember that.
Because this isn't historic downtown.
It's not just, and it's not business professional,
And it's not what?
the business professional zoning.
Okay. I'm being very technical because I read a lot. But formula businesses cannot look like a corporation, including recognizable logos and so forth. And so tell me why this doesn't fit that?
Well, that is in our ordinance, but there is concern that there is legal precedent that is not
Not enforceable.
enforceable. Correct.
So, to be clear, the city, we don't have to allow signage that has trademarks or logos. We can say that's not allowed. I mean, that's state law. So we can't force them to amend their logo, but we can say, no, you can't have a logo at all.
Perfect. And so in this case, is the font and the color scheme considered the logo?
I don't know what has been registered, trademarked, so, but here you heard the applicant saying that they're okay with that, and so it doesn't matter. But, so we could say, no, you can't have a logo at all, and it has to be normal font printing, and they couldn't even get anything even close to a logo. But the applicant is being smart and saying, I'll do something halfway in the middle, and then at least I can get my logo.
Just that only pertains to the agreement the applicant has made is to forego the trademark information on the sign on the building, but not on the monument sign in front of the building. So what is our latitude as pertains to that sign?
It sounds.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I thought you were talking, okay, right, understood. So because of the variance, then that would be the issue then.
Not the nature of the sign. I think the thing that's being discussed now is the branding, the logo.
Right, so I'm understood that because of the variance from 1993, for whatever reason, that the property continues to bear right for an illuminated monument sign. However, in Ordinance 17 regarding formula businesses, there's many references, including uniforms, signage, all kinds of things that prohibit, logos and branding that are broadly recognized as a big brand formula operation. And so would that pertain to the monument sign as well?
Yes.
Okay. Paul, are you hearing this?
I do.
So what is,
Now I'm confused.
what I am understanding is that we, forgive us, Paul, in our dislike of the corporate nature of the logo and the sign, are able to say we're not going to permit a logo on the sign,
The monument sign.
on the monument
On
sign.
any
On
sign.
Any sign.
On any sign?
Which brings us back to a question of what, perhaps we need to continue this and have them come back with a proposal for a different monument sign that is not the logo. Unless you have an immediate alternative suggestion.
Thank you.
Was that a question for me?
Yes, it's a question and a statement. The statement is, in case we haven't hammered everyone over the head with this at this point, is that we do not want logos in downtown Nevada City, and this is something that is preceding probably my birth. So this is very well under precedent. What you're proposing is a logo, and we are legally allowed to say we are not accepting your logo. It's not to say that we aren't accepting big brand tires and services. We can accept that, just not in the form that you are presenting it. Am I correct?
Yes, and it's not particular to your logo or brand. In formula businesses, it's something our ordinances say we don't allow logos.
So the question could go back to, we're going to have on the building, big brand,
In regular font
tire,
or plaza?
tire and serve, in the,
No, in their font. They're keeping their font in this one.
Oh,
But
I
they're
thought
doing
that
it.
was
No,
plaza tire
no.
font.
No,
It was
no,
plaza.
they are not. What they are saying is that
Oh my
they're going to
goodness.
do it in their font. I asked them to change the font, they said no, but they will do it in non-illuminated letters.
Gosh, I heard something about the same font as Plaza Tires at some point.
I
So
heard
did
that
I.
too.
They didn't say
For the-
font
for
in the
this-
same lettering
I
construct.
take lettering as font, but that could be my mistake.
We'd have to go back.
well, we already passed,
that
agreed,
one's
we
done.
already agreed to the sign, and my understanding is that the.
The sign on the building.
Sign on the building, and it would be in the same font as the one that's there for Plaza.
Do we have Amy read that back?
Your,
For the
The
building?
approval that the motion that passed.
so I have that, motion by, I think it was Cobden,
Original paper.
to approve the CUP and the building sign only, to consider changes to the building sign to be white letters, font as presented, and non-illuminated.
Yeah.
That is what, and font as presented means big brand tire and service as they
Oh.
presented.
Well, I would have voted differently, sorry. I thought we were still talking about the Plaza Tire thing. And I also
So did I.
didn't, yeah, so.
So did I.
I don't think it's,
Okay, hey, Paul, help us out here. Did you understand that we approved the sign on the building in the same font and colors as the one that's there? Was that?
Yeah, I think I can summarize where we stand is, what I would ask the council here to approve would be, going forward with our sign, all white in the same font, non-illuminated. And I hear you're saying that the font would be part of our logo, so I'm asking for the council to at least allow us to keep our font, and we'll go with all white letters, non-illuminated. If that's not acceptable, please let me know, and we'll keep moving forward.
Personally, I think Plaza Tire and Auto is not a great font. I don't see why
Same here.
we need
I-
to be spending
I
time
agree with
arguing
that.
about this.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we have 3 people at least who are on that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
would-
go back.
I would accept the motion that passed.
Yeah. We've got 3.
As Paul just described it, that sounds fine.
What I
It's-
would like to focus on is getting forward with the rest of this sign. I am going to say, Paul, we can either come up with an alternative to the logo in the sign on the monument, or we can continue this and you guys can regroup and come back with with a different suggestion. So we can all.
I'd like to thank the committee for their time. I know this has been a lot of discussion. I'd like to regroup on the monument sign. If we could get approval on the building sign, based off what was just stated, that would be great. And then we can revisit the monument sign when hopefully we've had some time to digest and maybe come up with some solutions.
And maybe we should assign a liaison to help with this discussion.
I think is that premature? I think it's premature before we've actually
Typically,
made
you'd hire a liaison once something's approved, and then
to
they
help
can-
facilitate implementation.
changes,
Yeah,
yeah.
small
Okay.
details.
Okay, never mind.
So,
All right, motion to continue.
just to be-
We've approved the sign, you also need to take action on the CUP itself, and then continue just the pylon sign.
I think just for clarity, because I think there was some confusion of whether the CUP was in there or not, so.
I think I was confused too.
Yeah, so to restate the motion, approve the CUP
Okay,
with the sign on the building in white with the applicant's
Font as
proposed
presented.
Font as
and
presented.
non-illuminated.
And non-illuminated,
Okay.
thank you. Whew, all right. And to continue the monument sign. Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank-
are you amending what we just, are you amending the thing that
That
passed?
was what I had originally written.
That's what she
so-
thought it was.
Yeah.
Great,
Good.
okay.
Did we vote? Or-
We've already voted on it, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
we
so
voted,
the only
okay.
thing to vote on is the continuance of the pylon.
All right.
Paul,
Great.
thank you very much for your,
All of you for your patience, yeah.
yeah,
So when is this continued to?
So our next meeting will be May 18th, I think, unless the commission wanted to entertain a special meeting.
I'm going to be on vacation much of the next 2.5 weeks, so.
So it might just be as well to do it at the May 18th meeting.
Well, the business is up and running. We know where it is.
So if that's acceptable to you, to wait until our next meeting, after regrouping, then we will continue the approval of the monument sign until then. Otherwise, you're in business.
Sounds good. I appreciate your guys' time as well.
We're getting there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then so that I'm clear, we haven't technically issued the CUP, correct? Because that's part of the reason that we're including the monument sign? Is that my understanding?
It would just be a continuance of that aspect of it.
The sign aspect.
Yes, yeah, to make sure that it qualifies for that finding.
Technically, the CUP has not been issued yet, but there's a general consensus that it will be approved pending agreement and resolution of the monument sign portion discussion of the CUP.
That makes sense.
As long as that tracks with you, Scott.
Okay.
Then we're good.
I think we're okay.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
For the people in the audience who are playing games on their phones, this has been an exceptionally long one, and we hope to deal with whatever you got in a shorter term.
And it's probably clearly understood now that the look of the city is very important to the planning commission.
If we're jumping to item 3.
3.
I have to recuse myself due to proximity of my home.
I have to recuse myself on some of these as well.
You're within the radius of the Factory Street.
I should have brought my map up.
Are you able to check that for us,
Yes.
Amy Wolfson?
You're concerned about your in-town residents.
I think I've been excused from Miller Valley concerns. Okay, all right. I think Factory Street, I'm good.
Oh, good.
I'll try to come up with something while you guys are in your discussion next. Is there any others that you're worried about? Let's see. I think there might be one other. I'll look up. Might be, actually, there's
Okay.
probably 2 others, maybe,
Mill Street, Spring Street?
possibly. I'll look them up while we're in
Mill
our
Factory.
discussion.
No conflict?
I'm good.
Okay. And so Mill Street and Spring would be even more in the clear for you? Okay. So would you like to kick
Yes,
us
our
off?
next item is for 410 Factory Street. Nikki Duncan's the owner. I know the representative was from the window company was going to be here. I'm not sure if that person is here, or maybe maybe he's on Zoom.
So no one representing the applicant at 410 Factory Street is
I
here?
think he was supposed to be on Zoom. Is there someone on Zoom representing 410 Factory Street? Not seeing anyone raise their hand. Do we want to
Yeah, let's,
go forward?
Okay. Should they, maybe they just like dropped off because,
That's what I'm really worried about.
can you invite them back somehow?
I don't know that I have this person's address, because
We can just bump them to the end of that.
the
Yeah.
owner was going to be on a plane, so the window, she said the window manufacturer is going to be on Zoom.
Can we just skip it
Well-
and go to the
Well,
next?
let me
Or-
ask,
Let's
does,
do the straw poll. If
Yeah.
it's,
are we feeling positively disposed toward the application? Do we have any
yes.
any questions?
I'm recommending, I don't have any changes to what's presented.
I don't either. I think we could take action on it.
Okay, yeah, as long as you don't have any questions or you're going to add conditions on the project, then I think that you can take action without representative.
Okay, so from a public notice standpoint, do you need to read any of the information?
I'm just going to, just really quickly, this applicant is proposing to replace 3 existing windows. They're outlined in the staff report, but they're essentially south-facing dining room with a slider with, changing from a slider to a double-hung vinyl window to match the living room, the front living room window, south-facing slider window at the kitchen sink with a vinyl awning window, and the north-facing kitchen window with a casement style and trim to match. The trim will match the existing south face on the garage. So it's 3 windows. Really, only 2 of them are very visible. But yeah, so that's the application in a nutshell.
Okay, thanks. And is there any public comment on this application here or online?
Nobody here. Anybody online wish to make a comment on this application? Please raise your virtual hand. Not seeing anyone.
Peter, would you like to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the window replacement at 410 Factory Street.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Ermshar is recused. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Zant?
Yes.
Commissioner Cobden?
Yes.
And Chair Nye.
Yes. They didn't even have to come.
And I do actually want to apologize to this applicant because her application was ready at the March meeting and it just got shuffled with some other paperwork and I didn't get it. So my apologies. I'm glad it got approved. Okay, so the next one is for 320 American Hill Road. Greg Zoller. Anyone representing him? Is Greg on Zoom? Maybe he's on Zoom. He is. He's on Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
Can Wendy come back? Is she recusing herself for this one too? Wendy?
Oh, I don't think she should have to.
Yeah.
She should be able to hear.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Zollers.
Hi. Hello again.
We're waiting for one of our commissioners who was recused and now coming back, I think. Commissioner Ermshar has joined us again. So this is for the item concerning 320 American Hill Road. We've got Greg Zoller, property owner, on the Zoom call with us. Assessor records show that this residence was constructed in 1900. It's not identified as a contributing building on the National Register. The Sanborn maps really didn't go quite out that far. Staff did approve interior improvements to convert the existing stone building to an accessory dwelling unit. And so that's reflected on the site plan, but not part of this application. The applicant is proposing to replace all of the existing aluminum sliders with vinyl slider windows and will also repair and replace like-for-like asphalt shingles as needed. And that is really the extent of this application.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for the applicant or staff?
No?
I have one. Hello again, Mr. Zoller. How you been?
Hi, thanks.
I'm wondering if when you replace the windows, you'll also be replacing the exterior trim, or are they just replacement?
It's all like for like.
Okay.
That was a yes on the trim?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Like for like.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Anybody in the audience? Online?
Yeah, do we have? Yeah, I'm asking for public comment.
No one here. Anyone online wish to make a public comment on this item? Please raise your virtual hand. Seeing none.
Any discussion?
Nope. Not for me.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the window replacement and re-roofing as presented for 320 American Hill Road.
I'll second.
Commissioner Ermshar.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Zant.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
See how fast we can be?
2 in a row, right?
Yeah, quite a contrast.
Thanks for joining us,
All right.
Mr. Zoller.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
bye.
Bye.
Okay, I have to recuse myself for the next one as well for proximity to my residence.
Okay, that's item 5107 Mill Street,
Yes.
roof-mounted solar.
Okay, okay. Ooh, we have a representative here in the
A
house.
real applicant in the house. Please, you can take a seat at the table here.
Okay, so this is an application for roof-mounted solar at 107 Mill Street. The last time we looked at this property, it was a residence. However, they have converted their structure to a commercial hotel use. And so that is the reason that it is before you. Residential solar, in general, has to be approved ministerially, but commercial solar, it does go through the Planning Commission review process through architectural review. So no records for when this building was constructed. Does appear that it is shown on the 1898 Sanborn map. Well, it's within the historic district. It's not considered a contributing building. It's not listed or described on the National Register. I will just remind the commission that Chapter 15.06 of the City Municipal Code provides standards for ministerial approval. That's what I always said, but Resolution 2017-49, adopted by the City Council in August 9th, 2018, commits the city to strive towards a goal of 100% renewable energy, and solar obviously does help us meet that goal. The applicant is requesting to add photovoltaic panels to be flush mounted on the south-facing pitch. The existing vegetation, at least from my perspective, looks like it'll pretty much obscure most of the views from the public. And that is pretty much it. I'll go ahead and bring a screen up so you can see the proposal.
There we go.
Oops. Stop. There we go.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
There's already a solar system there, we're just adding to it, so there's already been an approved install on that location, we're just expanding.
So if you look at my
And it's virtually impossible to see from the ground as it is.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Not for me.
Nor from me. Is there any public comment on this item?
Anyone in the building?
Apparently not. Online? Any
Maybe
public
on the
comment?
line wish to make a public comment? Raise your virtual hand. Not seen any.
All right. Yeah, it seems it's a very narrow street, hard to see anything up there, so.
I actually also did the solar system on the church as well, right there, so. we
Didn't
got
even know there
previous
was one.
approval. Exactly, we're good at hiding it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Both things are awesome,
Yes.
solar and hiding it.
Exactly.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that one.
Okay, and Commissioner Ermshar is recused. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Zandt?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thanks for hanging with us.
And you're talking about the
Aren't you glad
Methodist
you
church?
stayed?
You did the Methodist church?
Yeah, I did the Methodist church and the Asylum Down building too.
Yeah.
So,
That's in
Yeah.
Parapet, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, exactly. So
You're saving them a lot of money.
I do think so.
I-
Thank you.
And while we're on the subject of solar systems, we are at, so I'm sorry.
Are we at Oddfellows?
Yes, we're
Do
at,
I
Yes.
have to recuse myself from this one?
that's what I was wondering. I thought you said you figured.
This
you
and Pine Street.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so. It's not a neighbor street, is it? I mean, it's not a neighbor building.
If you're within 500 feet, I think
500 feet.
Yeah, I'm
the
within
suggestion is
500.
that you recuse yourself.
I mean, I'm happy to stick around for it. I think I can be non-objective.
I think though, if
I'm
you're,
not allowed to.
if you're 500 feet, the advice is to recuse.
Non-objective. I know I can
Right.
be non-objective.
I think we could all be non-objective.
Tired.
I need a refresher again, because it
Of your
was.
business? I think that you need to recuse yourself.
I was going to
from this
say,
one.
but then it was kind of reclassified that if it's not really something that is like a use permit thing
That's
or like
true,
a business
so-
matter, that it's,
Scott, are you still with us?
like it's not, I don't have any economic interest in whether or not they have solar.
So I think we've talked about that in terms of like signage and things like that, but I don't, and not a use. So I
Right.
think the same thing would apply. Was that true of 500 feet and 1,000 feet?
I didn't ever hear anything about 1,000 feet, just 500.
Oh,
I
that
don't
was the
remember
advice you got for
5,000.
a 500
I don't
foot?
mean, I don't remember a 1,000 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
all I
circle
know is
either.
500.
It was within 500 feet, if there could be, you know, some sort of argument that I might have an economic interest in whatever's being discussed, that I might benefit economically more than somebody else, then I should recuse myself. So, and so that might be if somebody was putting up a new business that competes with mine, or if somebody is, you know, if there's a parking spot maybe, but in terms of solar or signage, it doesn't have an economic bearing for me.
Scott, are you still on with us?
That's my understanding.
I am online, and I agree. So there's no, so this, how far away is from your property?
I think both of them are probably within the 500-foot radius.
And as I recall, you do not own the property within 500 feet, correct?
I do.
One of our commissioners does own property within 500 feet. The other one is in a lease with option to own, to make it complicated.
Okay. So the person that owns it would have a conflict because it's within 500 feet, period, done.
Okay.
Then the question is whether an option also complies, and I don't know offhand. I can find out, but I haven't researched that. So my recommendation would be that you do recuse, because I don't know whether offhand for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, do we have an applicant for this? Hello? Would you like to do the introduction?
Yes, so let me just write down the copy. Accusing. Okay, so this is for 212 Spring Street, again, a roof-mounted solar array. This one is shown on the 1898 San Bernardino map. There is a description in our National Registry, shows that it was constructed in 1873. The applicant, in my understanding, is they haven't actually, you don't have an actual contractor to actually put the array up, but you're trying to maybe.
I am, so, yeah, this one is a little out of the ordinary. You know, typically we would just move forward with a permit for, you know, any of our, if they're gonna move forward with a solar installation, we're gonna pull a permit and go through the normal channels as usual. I'm not sure, are you aware of net energy metering 2.0 going to 3.0 in PG&E territory? So the way this is, there was the big rush and the deadline of NEM2, we're going to NEM3, and with Oddfellows, they wanted to get grandfathered in on NEM2. However, they're not ready financially, they need to do some fundraising to fund the project. Therefore, they wanted us to get them grandfathered in on NEM 2.0 with the grace period. So they're under an installation contract with us, but they have a 3-year grace period to have the solar system installed, and that is why we're not yet pulling a permit. But they were concerned, as this location is in the historical district, that they wanted to make sure that the Planning Commission had eyes on it before they went to fundraising. So. That's
Okay,
that's why there's not a permit yet.
That's helpful. So we don't have some of the technical details that we might otherwise have, but they are proposing a location, and they would be flush mounted primarily on the east-facing roof pitch, with some along the west-facing pitch. The panels will likely be visible from Commercial Street and
No, they're
Commercial Street.
They are all on the east facing. There's going to be none on the west
I
facing.
think I had the wrong information on this one. So it's going to be on the east facing, but they are taking care to kind of set it back from Commercial Street there. No, Broad Street.
from
Sorry,
Broad Street, yeah.
So it goes from Broad Street to Spring Street. You might see it from parts on Spring Street, but like from the parking lot area.
Behind
It was-
trees.
Yeah, but this is what I would imagine you might see it. So they're trying to get an approval for the location. I would probably suggest a liaison be assigned for this one, because once they actually come in to pull the building permit, there might be some small changes that they'll have to make with the location.
And for my clarification, this sort of advanced application for architectural review before the planning commission is similar to an applicant we had a couple of meetings ago who was not ready to move forward but needed to get into a deadline for, I think, financial assistance.
Well, it's not financial assistance. The CPUC has approved a new rule that essentially you can't make as much money if you make too much power. And so people are scrambling. We're actually seeing a ton of residential solar also coming through to staff. They're all trying to meet like an April 1st deadline to get their.
April 14th. So
April
it's about-
14th, okay.
yeah.
But it was a similar
Or
dynamic
April.
essentially, so
Yeah.
just to get
Yes,
in
yeah.
before deadlines.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, is not, it's not a problem. Any questions from the commissioners?
Nope, straightforward to me.
And so the black spot on your graphic that shows where it goes on the roof, that seems pretty likely the amount of coverage it's gonna take and the location?
Yes, the system size will not increase, but it may decrease by up to 20%. So it's only going to get smaller, if anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, all right, I don't have anything else. Is there any public comment on this application, either present or online?
Anyone out in the public? Anyone online wish to make a public comment on this item? Seeing none.
Okay, any discussion amongst us? Nope. I would just make a statement. It's in the historic district and it's practically invisible, and having solar power as much as possible is a real priority. So so I have no issue
Less visible
with the part that is.
less visible than the,
We're not talking about that yet, though, right? Or
no, I'm talking about the theater.
oh yeah,
We also did that one, yeah.
yeah.
They did. Nice job.
The invisibility is appreciated, and the priority of doing it is also appreciated. So
Move to approve the roof-mounted solar array at 203 York Street.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Commissioner Van Zant?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
And Chair Nye?
yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Do you want to assign liaison for when the final permit comes in? Doesn't sound like it'll be much of an issue, but
No. Any volunteers?
I'll do it.
Peter Van Sant is your volunteer.
all right.
So what is exactly?
So when you actually do pull a building permit, I will work with, I'll bring it to Mr. Van Zant, and we'll just make sure that it's consistent with what was approved here.
Got
That
it.
is all.
Okay.
And if there's some slight changes, we can probably.
Yeah, I mean, slight layout changes, maybe we find something weird with the building and we can't put solar somewhere. But I don't see that happening, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get.
But you're not going to be setting up a shade on Broad Street, right? We have faith.
Alrighty.
Thanks for coming in, and thanks
Yep.
for hanging with us.
Yeah, I hope you don't have any more signs.
Yep. Oh, my gosh.
Your own.
Have a good one.
That'll
care.
scare you out of the sign business.
Which brings us to,
And now I think they can both probably
203 York Street.
unrecuse themselves for this one. I think both of them should be able to be in this one.
No.
No?
Probably not Wendy,
Wendy.
Maybe not.
but probably Amy.
She's due, yeah, but she's just on the other side of Broad.
Oh, you're right. She would, yeah. Let me just do a quick
Welcome aboard.
map.
All right, I guess I'm in the hot seat now. Mine's not invisible.
Should I give? Sorry.
I hope you find the hot seat cool.
Sorry, do we say Amy can do it?
Yeah, I'm looking at hers right now.
Oh, yeah, she's way down the street.
Oh, yeah, she's good. Totally good.
I get the full
Cobden.
Cobden is good. I didn't check Ermshire, but I think she's probably definitely within it.
I think Amy.
Yes, I
yeah.
think you probably still have to recuse, but Amy can come back in.
If you can find Amy for us.
Do you know what we're doing here?
What's that?
Do you know what we're doing here, this
Yeah,
recusal thing?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a member of several boards, so.
Yeah, I think.
The funny
yeah.
part is conflicts very seldom come up because it's a small town, but
Hi.
Now what?
All right.
More
now-
solar.
Yep, more solar.
Looks like
We're at
solar.
the solar part of our
We're
agenda
in the
today?
solar.
Yeah, the solar,
Okay.
the solar nexus.
Okay, so this is for 203 York Street, that houses Elixart. Can't find a record for when the building was constructed. It was not there in 1912, which, you know, there's a row of like houses and stuff on the 1890, or on the 1912 and 1898 Sanborn maps. Let's see, it's not identified as a contributing building on the National Register, so there's no baseline description for this building either. Again, Resolution 2017-49 does commit the city to strive towards a goal of 100% renewable energy sources by 2050. The applicant is requesting to add photovoltaic panels to be flush mounted primarily on the east-facing roof pitch, but some along the west pitch. I think I accidentally grabbed this language, that's why I was reading this for my last one. It was for this application. Applicant has indicated that there is not much room to move the panels, and the configuration is really tight, and has indicated that the finance company would be resistant to change. I did mention to him, though, that generally your condition, well, we can't really say solar is consistent with mother lode or, you know, Nevada City architecture. Generally, the condition is, or the finding is that it's oriented in a manner that it doesn't detract from, that can be considered compatible with those things. So that's typically how we've done it before. These panels will probably be pretty visible from Commercial Street and York Street.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from the commission?
No?
No?
well, question.
Peter, do you have a question?
Well, I have a statement, actually. It's problematic from a aesthetic point of view, you know, because of the location. Is there enough room on the backside to get the power you need?
So because of the orientation of the building, the backside of the building faces more north,
Yeah.
which reduces by maybe 35 to 40% of the efficiency of the panels compared to where they're at on the southeast facing roof. There is a obstruction listed on my site plan that isn't there anymore, where I can move 2 more panels, so we get a more solid shape instead of having a dog leg of some panels. I don't know if you can put that picture up.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it right now, I think.
Yeah, so where I have these 2 panels here,
Yes.
they can actually go up here where that obstruction is, so it'd be more uniform. But the amount of production for this is pretty strict from the financing because it's a power purchase agreement. So they have to stand behind how much the system is estimated to produce.
I don't think there's any way of making this look nice.
No.
They are all black and aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it's all black. It's going to help protect the original roof that's there because there won't be as much rain or sunlight damage to it. And structurally, it's fairly sound because we've had it engineered, and the engineer says it'll handle it even with these heavy snows that we had.
So the reduced efficiency on it's the north slope, right?
Yes.
Is truly 30%?
It's somewhere between, I'd say, 30 and 45%. So it's going to vary based on how the shade comes around that peak.
Because it really has it'll have a very strong visual impact looking up Commercial Street.
On the other hand, if you flipped it and you had the bulk of it on the backside, you'd still have a patchwork of.
You either
Just be
see
the
it
other
coming
side.
down.
It'd be equally visible
Like,
from the other
I don't
side.
think there's any mitigation of this. In fact, I think I would prefer to see almost everything covered, if that's like the main view. But that's personal.
You mean the front roof?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I would also prefer to value efficiency over aesthetics if it's gonna have to happen.
Right, well, that seems to be like the requirement of the project, that it be efficient.
And this is also 3 separate solar systems on one permit for 3 separate PG&E meters.
Oh.
Really?
Are there 3 meters there?
There's 3 meters there.
Why are there 3 meters?
Because I guess they had it originally split out for multiple tenants, but they've absorbed all the meters.
That must have been quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was before New Moon.
New Moon? There's something called, I was looking in the file, Ruby Rouge or something like that?
Bougie roof.
Bougie Rouge, I think that was what it's called. Bougie, yeah, something like that.
So, so what you've recently discovered is it can become a much more unified block of
Right, yeah, I can move
non-patchworky.
those 2 panels.
So they'll be set back, what, like 6 feet or something from the commercial street edge of the roof?
Yeah, so I'm trying to follow the CFC codes here for the fire setbacks, which is 4 feet minimum from a rake, and having a 3-foot setback between the arrays on the ridge to be able to get through for cutting venting. So that was my first concern, is making sure that the fire department's going to like it. And second concern is making sure that the aesthetics are pleasing enough. And then third concern is making sure the efficiency is the highest possible.
Yeah, it'd be hard to fit all those criteria into that front view from my standpoint. All of the solar we've had so far have been
On taller buildings.
on taller buildings, yes. Yeah, above, yeah.
I would just like to say, I don't think, is there any possibility that discussion is gonna get us anywhere away from this?
No, I think just beyond general complaining about the reality that exists. So is there any public comment to be on this project?
No.
Anybody out in Zoom world wish to make a public comment? Please raise your virtual hand. And I am not seeing anyone.
I'd like to move to approve.
Let's have some discussion first. Let me invite some discussion before we entertain motions.
Okay.
We are going
I
through the process.
invite you to discuss anything that's gonna move us anywhere away from what's gonna happen.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Peter?
Well, yeah, I have a discussion, yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of solar, I mean, we all are, we're conservationists, but we also have the aesthetic of downtown and you're fighting the history of downtown, and that has been our economic as well as aesthetic ordinance, the old ordinance, 50 years old now, and it's worked well. And I would be okay if you wanted to put a panel in the back, it wouldn't be as efficient, but I think the view from Commercial Street and York Street would be better. And, folks would see it from the parking lot, but it's not, it wouldn't be seen as in our downtown core. So that's where I'm going to come down on it, unfortunately. Unless you want to make it a 2-story building and, no.
I disagree. I think the view from Commercial Street is 6 of one, half dozen of the other. York Street is traveled, as is the parking lot. I really see it as indifferent to the side, so I don't have an objection to it as proposed at this point.
Right, the only option really is to, because it's not economically feasible on the north slope. It won't work in terms of the economic model that they're, is that correct?
Correct, and that section that I have on that northern slope is an oversized system to compensate for some reduction of efficiency. So it's actually larger than it would have been if it was on the other side.
It just won't fit.
It won't fit, right?
And I'd also note we're considering, as always, we have to consider multiple trade-offs in the city, including goals for, renewable energy and historic district. And I think this is a reasonable consideration, or a reasonable way to consider both of those considerations without being too redundant.
Yeah. So my comment, with an aesthetically heavy heart, it seems like something that we shouldn't deny, and that's the only, denial is really the only option we have, because modifying it is a denial anyway. I mean, requiring it to be moved to the other side is essentially a denial or a withdrawal of the application. So I'd entertain a motion. Would you like
Motion
to make a
to approve.
I will second the motion.
All right, Commissioner Van Zandt.
No.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Cobden.
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Madam Vice Chair, we need to go through the process.
We need to whine about it.
Need to discuss it fully for our
That's exactly right.
elucidation and for the benefit of the public.
For sure.
And I'm reflecting on how much we've gotten done since we figured out what to do with Plaza.
Let's move on to the last.
Yeah, let's.
Let's continue.
Oh, are you impatient to
All right,
finish?
is this Pine Street
Commissioner
now?
Brown?
Yes, we're at Pine
We
Street.
have applicants. on
Yes, so you need to
myself because of property ownership. Do I need to say anything else?
No, your proximity to property. I'm not sure about Wendy.
She's right around the corner.
I think she's probably okay, right? She might, I'm gonna check.
Yeah, she is. Because she's out of my distance.
Oh, she is?
Like, rather, my house would not,
I'm thinking more of her business.
exactly, but my house is more than 500 feet from hers, and it's only 70 feet from theirs.
Okay. I'm just gonna double check it real quick.
Did you understand that?
Not entirely. I'm just gonna, I just said, I'm gonna check it myself, so I'm gonna look. Her business is there.
Welcome back, Commissioner Cobden, we think. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's much cooler out there, I can say that.
I tried to adjust it. Part of my problem is
It's
I don't know how to
better-
work
it's better
that
than it was.
thermostat.
I know, well, and I'm right under this one. I was like, whew.
I like it warm personally, but.
You do, it's
yes.
womb-like. Yeah.
Yes,
The
exactly.
womb room.
Well, so next up, are you guys the applicants for 215 Pine Street? Will you join us at the table here?
So, I don't know. Wendy, you want to come look at this map real
Okay.
quick? Hold on, I gotta redo this one.
Double checking a recusal.
Might have to move to Grass Valley.
So, I'm showing 300 from your business.
Okay.
Right? So
Probably. That's what
yeah.
I said to Amy. I'm like, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I'm closer than
Yeah.
that for my business.
Yeah.
But for my home, I think I'm good.
You might be for your house, but yeah, you probably are for your
So
house.
are you with Sightline Architecture or the owners? Okay, and you're?
Owner.
Okay, cool. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Do I want to formally announce that I'm once again recusing myself?
Oh, are
Because
you?
all my neighbors are making improvements and it's, my neighborhood's just looking great. Yeah, all right. That's it.
Okay. All right, sorry. Thank you for your wait today. We have Monica Peterson and Sean Murphy from Sightline. This is an architectural review application for 2 residences at 211 and 215 South Pine Street, and then also a demolition of an existing weird shared garage thing.
It's described interestingly as 2 garages connect.
I
I live at one of those, a shared garage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have a
Yeah.
similar situation, yeah. So it's on two different properties, but it seems to be one structure, so.
But it's barely
Barely,
standing.
barely a
Yes.
structure.
Barely a structure.
All right, I'll get to the garage here in a little bit, but, so the assessor records estimate the date of construction for 215 South Pine Street at 1920, though 1912 Sanborn map appears to show the residence, the 1912's map shows it in substantially the same footprint as the current structure. The date of 211 South Pine Street is not known, but there is a residence represented on the Sanborn map as early as 1885, though it does not appear to be the same residence. Neither of the properties are described in the National Register, so not considered contributing, and no baseline description. So the proposal is to do an exterior alterations to the two residential structures and then also to the shared garage structure. So for 211 South Pine Street, they'd be replacing the deteriorated wood siding with an artisan hardy siding, which is sort of the thicker, better quality hardy product that they have, with a square channel to match the existing profile. They would be replacing the rear shingled addition siding with artisan hardy siding to match the rest of the house. Replace the vertical crawl space siding on the south elevation with a hardy panel siding. Add a 615 square foot basement accessory dwelling unit in the rear. Add a slider window to the ADU bathroom. Replace composition shingle roof with standing seam metal roof in the color slate. Replace existing double hung windows, wood windows with double hung vinyl windows. Paint the body in a cream with the door and trim in a black forest green. Add a rear deck and add a new foundation. And then for the 215 South Pine Street, they'd be replacing the deteriorated siding with a hardy, with an artisan hardy siding with a square channel to match what's covered most of the building. Add a 232 square foot, add 232 square feet to the rear of the residence. Replace composition shingle roof with composition shingle roof in the color shake wood. Replace existing double hung wood windows with double hung vinyl windows. Replace the street facing picture window with a larger picture window, and it features like a double hung or single hung, like side windows on the picture window to be replaced there. And then paint the body in a light gray with a trim in white and the door a light blue. Add a rear deck and add a new foundation.
I want to interrupt for a question. It's a different color, body color from the other one?
It is slightly different, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, so for the shared garage, demolish the existing garage and rebuild two, and I should say the garage never shows up on any of the Sanborn maps that I could find. So I have no idea when that was constructed. Demolish the existing garage and rebuild two one-bay garages. That's the best way I can figure out how to describe this thing. But it would be one structure, but, have like a thicker wall in between.
No, fire separation
Yeah, okay,
between
fire
the two.
separation to separate it on the two different parcels. And it would be separated along the roof pitch is what it looked like to me, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the garage will feature a pitched roof, artisan hardy siding with a square channel and aluminum bay doors, which would match the two residences.
And color scheme wise, it would match the 211 since those
It's
walls
closer
will butt
to
each
it.
other.
It would just be white. I think the garage, they wouldn't add colors, so kind of blend the body of 211 and then 215 would have the white trim. So we're hoping a white garage would just keep it kind of neutral in between.
Which is what the current garage is, right? It's white.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the garage is pulled forward? Or is, where's
No,
that?
it would remain in generally the same position as it is now.
Okay, it's hard to tell from the drawing here.
And I think that's all I have. You will need to make findings for the demolition of the garage and then separate findings for the architectural review of the garage and the remodel of the two houses.
Okay, thanks. Any questions of the applicant or owner or staff?
I'm excited to see it. I think this is going to really look good.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see it too. We're hoping these buildings that are pretty dilapidated will be these cute little gems in the neighborhood and kind of restored back to adding something to the community again, instead of they're kind of an eyesore right now.
Can't beat the location.
Exactly.
As unique as the pink is right now, too.
Yeah.
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 I have a couple of questions.
No,
Do
go ahead,
you?
go ahead, no.
So I don't see, unless I'm missing it, lighting specs. Do you have lighting instruments chosen?
No.
Are you talking about the external?
Yeah, exterior lighting,
Um,
not interior. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I haven't chosen those, but what I had envisioned, I don't know if this, should I tell you that, or does it only matter if we have it in our presentation?
I think we could go forward maybe with a liaison approval, though your opinion on this is welcome, but I guess the characteristics of the lights you're picturing would be helpful to know.
What I'm picturing for 211, which is the more traditional Victorian style house, would be sort of the lantern style, and anything from that era that ties in with the historical downtown. And then for 215, I'm hoping to add a few kind of Art Deco touches, but nothing that goes too wild, But I would like something that kind of ties into those 1920s, 1930s look of downtown. So I was hoping that would carry the aesthetics, such as this building and some of the other buildings that have more of that Art Deco look. But the building is pretty, traditional looking in structure. So I wanted to add a little bit of hardware maybe on the door and the external lights to give that kind of feeling of Art Deco. But I wouldn't go with anything too extreme.
Well, they seem to be very nicely detailed, and I have no doubt that you do good stuff in good taste. Our concern is light spread and light trespass, sky glow, and basically not disturbing your neighbors with your external lighting.
All those would definitely be taken into account with an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
We actually switched out our front porch light because it was, whatever was existing was bothering the people across the street. So we actually already switched out the light bulb to a down-facing bulb that had much less lumens or whatever it is. And then it was also, I guess, flashing with the wind because it was a motion sensor light. And so we switched that. And so we told them, we would take all of that into consideration as we're telling you as well when we're choosing light fixtures. And we said if the new bulb and the new setting didn't take care of things, to let us know, and we'd switch out the fixture temporarily as well. But it seems to be okay now where it's much softer, warmer, down, just downcast. And before it was a very bright light shining into people's windows.
It's great to hear that you're sensitive to it. Really great to hear, actually. And we're just for your information, we're working on a dark sky ordinance for the city, so that we do a lot less sky glow and a lot less lighting of other people's property. So, I wonder if that's a liaison approvable thing.
I have a slight but.
Uh-huh.
The but is, we're constrained to mother load, some sort of compatibility with mother load, which is hard to define, but I think Sightline's probably good on that. So if you're going to go Art Deco, strong Art Deco, I think that would be in violation of the sense of mother load. But if it's, don't have any problem with the building. It's just the the additional lighting, so.
Yes, I'm not committed to any particular lights, so in moving forward, I'm happy to choose something that would be aesthetically correct and pleasing for you and the neighborhood. It doesn't have, I don't want it to, kind of scream Art Deco. I just want something that kind of has that aesthetic, but it's fine if I keep it more traditional, mother lode Victorian looks.
I'd
That would
suggest,
work.
yeah, liaison, and then you can just provide me the lighting specs and when you guys have it.
Yeah, I think I personally would be comfortable with that since you're definitely interested in not disturbing neighbors with your lights, and also there are descriptions of what a light can do within our ordinance pertaining to outdoor lighting. So
I did read that,
and I know
and I
you're
chose
really
both.
familiar with all that.
I read up on it while I was choosing replacement bulbs to make sure, and it was like the 30% and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
So,
right.
Trying to keep within the rules as well as keep the neighbors happy, and definitely don't want to bother people with harsh lights. So.
Yeah, and if everybody kind of contributes, then we end up with more starry skies.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna look nice.
Yeah, I don't have any questions other than that. It looks great. You're doing a sill detail on the windows.
Yes.
Like 414 or 416 Broad Street.
Yes, and actually similar to what's there now
Yeah.
on the 211.
Great.
Yep.
Great. Okay, do we have any public comment? Anybody here? You guys are all for it, obviously.
No one here. Anyone on Zoom wish to make a public comment? I see Andrew's on. Should he be pulled in, or he's just watching?
He's just watching.
Okay.
He approves too.
Okay. No, seeing none, sorry.
And I'll compliment you on the different roof treatments. I really like that differentiation. Like, this is one house, this is another, but they're related, by the siding detail. It's cool. That's just me saying unofficially, it's cool. It'll be a good project.
I know some people unofficially were concerned that I was going to make them look the same and that it would look like a duplex or a condo, and so I had like neighborhood buzz, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, so no public comment.
Discussion. I just add, I appreciate that differentiation too. Yeah, especially the color difference, I think will be key. And I want to thank you again for your consideration of the lighting. I thank Tom for bringing that up too. I don't know, I recently changed out the lights on my house to be compliant, and it just, they weren't that bad before, but it makes a big difference. It looks much nicer now in terms of the spread of lighting. So again, I think this is great and look forward to seeing it done.
If we approve.
If we approve.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve per the language in the application, items 1 and 2.
We're approving the demolition. There's
Oh, yeah,
there's a
okay,
couple
so
of-
let's take it piece
So
by
we
piece.
should do the demolition and
Yeah.
then
This is the
architecture.
demolition.
Okay,
Okay.
so demolition as presented.
Yes.
Yes.
I will second the motion.
Commissioner Van Zandt?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
And Chair Nye?
Yes.
Okay.
You make another motion, Peter.
And the next motion is architecture
For
review.
the architectural review of the two, all, the two residences and the garage.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I'm assuming that's to approve them as presented.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You're just not a potted palm sitting there. You're valuable.
Commissioner Van Zandt?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And a liaison for
Lighting.
going over the lighting, and then any other little things that wouldn't require, appearance before the full commission can be handled by the liaison, and I volunteer.
Great.
So you're a go. Thanks for sticking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
I've been waiting for this day. I wasn't gonna miss it.
Yeah.
That's gonna look really nice.
All right.
Nice
Thank you very
clear,
much.
nice clear drawings and nice design, and thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
And Scott is still with us, so we didn't need to
Okay.
redo everything, but
That's okay.
the agenda, but
It was
we
still,
appreciate
it
you
was
guys.
still illuminating.
And then just conversationally, when will you start, do you think?
Well, I mean, we were waiting to make sure the plans would be approved. We have a contractor, I mean, I don't know, now I'll have to just see, it's busy season. So, as soon as we can.
Okay.
We're ready to roll, so as soon as we get permits,
But we can begin the construction documents
yeah.
now.
Now.
Yeah.
So we're full steam ahead as fast as we can get going with everybody as their schedules allow. So, can't wait.
Excellent. Well, best of luck with it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Nice
It'll be a journey.
nice update, nice.
Yeah, it's been a journey since those trees came out, I think.
You're not kidding. We have some
Okay.
nice milled cedar now. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item is the public art ordinance, which I thought we were gonna have, we may not even have it on the next meeting, but because we did publicly notice it, I needed to put it on the agenda. So we can just continue it to the very next meeting, because I do not have a public art ordinance to present to you.
Let's continue it to the next meeting.
Do we have a copy
We
of
might
that?
need to do public comment. So anyone's welcome to come to the vibrancy committee meetings, and that's where they're kind of, it's been under discussion, but there's not really a draft yet. Sorry, guys, we started talking.
About you.
We're talking about continuing the art ordinance, which we don't have any
So
materials
moved.
for as yet.
I think we
may-
do need to do public discussion, just because we did notice it, in case anyone has any.
No one's present for public comment, but is there any?
Online?
Anybody on Zoom wish to make a comment on the public art ordinance that we do not have yet? Seeing none.
Do we make a motion to continue?
Yeah, we need to make a motion to continue it to a date certain, because we noticed it.
Okay,
That's why.
so we will, we'll be continuing it to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Motion by, we're getting a motion in a second, and then.
I move we
Okay.
continue to the next
Okay.
scheduled planning
Second.
commission meeting.
That was Cobden, yeah. It was Cobden, okay. Commissioner Van Zant.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
Chair and I.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, any liaison action? I have nothing.
Nope.
Okay.
The only thing I would add here that I don't see noted is, am I technically a liaison to Paula at Espiritu for her sign, or is that an official liaison? Does it need to be on here? I don't know.
Oh,
Are there, do you have?
I have it
Assignments
on
on?
there from
Oh,
the
yeah, I
last
see.
meeting.
You are officially a
Yeah, you're-
liaison.
I mean, I don't, it's not, it's more like, does it need to be kept a
Yeah, you-
record? Yeah.
This is just a running
As
list.
soon as
I
you
haven't
guys, yeah, as soon as, so what will happen is as soon as she works with you to get her sign up and you approve the final design, then we're done. We can remove it from the list.
Okay, it's not on the list, though.
It is on the
It
list.
is on
It
the
is?
list.
How come
Yeah.
I can't see it? What's wrong with me?
Third one from the bottom.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I didn't
Or
get
sorry,
the whole
second from the
thing.
bottom.
1,
Want
2.
this unplugged now?
Oh, yeah, we're probably okay.
On page 2 of the agenda.
I don't want to trip.
Okay, I must be short a page.
Count on
Okay.
batteries.
Yeah,
To be a short.
I must be short a page.
All right. Shall we adjourn?
Marvelous idea.
Great. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.